Good evening, everyone. Good evening, friends. Welcome back to our sessions on Python for AI. So we have completed 18 days of this program, right? So today it's our 19th, where we'll be quickly recapping what we have covered in the previous session, and we'll also start a new topic, right? So we started with understanding flow control statements. It's been 2 days. In the past two sessions, we have understood what exactly is flow control sessions, flow control statements, and the purpose of using flow control statements in Python, right? So these flow control statements, they help us to perform a certain operation. Either it might be true or false, depending on the condition. Either it is true or false. The operation that we are trying to perform will execute for once or for finite number of times. Okay, until the condition becoming false. Yes. And in Python, we have three types of flow control statements. What are they? They are conditional or selection or branching statements. The second one is looping or iterative or repetitive statements. And the third one is miscellaneous flow control statements, where we have break, continue, and pass. So we have successfully completed control statements. Yes. What is the purpose of conditional statement, my friends? What is the purpose of using conditional statements? Why do we use conditional statements in Python? They help us to perform a certain operation when the condition is true, or when the condition is false. They even help us to perform the other operation, but only for once. So that is the purpose of using conditional statements, selection statements, or branching statements, right? So this is the key word that has to be memorized. For how many times is it going to allow us to execute? Only for once. Only for once. Right? So what are the different conditional statements that we have in Python? I want everyone to respond. What are the different conditional statements we have discussed so far? What are they? In Python, there are in total four conditional statements. There are four conditional statements. Yes. What are they? If else, if else, and the fourth one is match case. Four, friends, not three. Simple if is the first one. Then the second one is if else. The third one is if else. And the fourth one is match case statements. Right? And for all these four types, the syntaxes are important. Syntaxes are important. You have to memorize the syntaxes. Clear? Yes. Today, we are going to start a new topic. It is looping statements, also called as iterative statements, also called as repetitive statements. Okay, so let us understand, first of all, what is the purpose of using a looping statement? Okay, then we'll understand what are the types that we have under these looping statements, followed by the hands-on sessions. Clear? And I hope that everyone is performing, they're practicing these Python, right? So not just watching these sessions, hands-on is also must and should, guys. Parallelly on daily basis, you have to type the code. Only then, we learn Python. Right. Let us start the topic. It is looping or iterative, or also called as, repetitive statements. Also called as repetitive statements. Let us understand the purpose of looping statements in Python. Okay. The purpose of using looping statements is, why should we use looping statement? Because these statements help us to perform a certain operation. A certain operation can be performed using looping statements, but repeatedly. Repeatedly, not just for once, repeatedly for finite number of times until the condition becomes false. So, till the condition that we are including in the looping statement, till it becomes false, they help us to perform the operation for finite number of times. But if you take a conditional statement, if you take a selection statement, will it allow us to perform the same operation for multiple times? Finite number of times? No. The purpose of using a conditional statement is they help us to perform a certain operation. Yes. But only for once. Only for once, when the condition is holding true, it performs operation X. If the condition is false, it performs operation Y. But for how many times? Only for once. So that makes the difference between a conditional statement and looping statement. Hope it's clear. What makes the difference? I can execute. I mean, when we use looping statements in the picture, they help us to execute an operation for repeated number of times till the condition becomes false. Clear? The difference between conditional statements and the looping statements. So here we can execute the operation for n number of times. Right. In Python, we have two types of looping statements. Conditional statements are 4, but looping statements are only 2. There are only 2 looping statements, 2 types. What are they? They are while or while else. While or while else. And the second one is for or for else. Both mean same, guys. Either you call it as while or while else loop, they mean the same. Okay. And the second type is called for or for else looping statement. Okay. So initially we'll focus on for or for else loops. Then we'll go to the while or while else looping statements. Clear? So especially when we are dealing with looping statements, we have to ensure that 3 points to be maintained. A programmer, whoever is going to come up with a looping statement, they have to ensure that they exits 3 points. What are they? Initialization part, then the conditional part, as well as updation part. Initializing followed by the condition part and the updation part. Okay, whatever the part where we have initialized, that has to be updated. Yes. And moreover, we should also come up with a conditional part. Only depending on the condition, whether it is true or false, our looping statement will help us to execute for a number of times. If the condition becomes false, our loop stops. Our loop stops. Okay. So this is the overview of the looping or iterative or, repetitive statements. Let us start understanding for or for else looping statement. Let us understand the syntax. Then we'll have a detailed explanation for the for looping statement. Either you name it as for or for else. Both mean same. Both mean same. The syntax for the for loop is, we have two syntaxes. Okay. So let us understand. The syntax one says for followed by the variable name in iterable object. So friends, what do you mean by an iterable object? What do you mean by iterable object? The syntax is for variable name in iterable object followed by indentation symbol. Followed by indentation symbol. So before I proceed, what do you mean by iterable object? What exactly is iterable object? Did we discuss? Yes, we have discussed what exactly is iterable object in membership operators. Membership operators. What are the membership operators that we have in Python? I am asking regarding iterable object. No, no, good. An object which contains multiple values. An object which contains multiple values is an iterable object. Can you give me some of the examples? Good. Good friends. You take any of the objects which uses str or sequence category data types, list category data types, set category data types, even dict category data types. All these objects are examples of iterable objects. Why? Because we can have multiple objects, multiple elements, multiple values inside it. So in short, an iterable object is an object in which we'll have multiple values. Now, able to recollect? Yes. Let us come back. For variable name in iterable object, then followed by indentation symbol. Okay. So when we use indentation symbol, we know that the first four spaces will be given default, and then we'll have our block of statements. So all these block of statements will be part of our for loop. And down to it, you can also have other statements in the program. So this is syntax 1. This is syntax 1. Let us understand syntax 2. I'm using the same syntax. Yes, but additionally we have else block. We have else block. Then the block of statements for else block. Under this we have block of statements for else block. So that is reason you can call either it as for loop or for else loop. Both are same. Why both of them are same, we'll understand. Okay. Now, coming to the explanation, here in the both the syntaxes, what are the keywords that we have? We have for is a keyword and followed by in is again a keyword. In is a keyword and also else is a keyword. Else is also a keyword. Right? Then coming to the iterable object, an object which contains multiple elements. That is what we have discussed. Yes. Now let us understand how the for loop executes. The execution behavior of for loop is that each value present in the iterable object is selected, okay, and it is given to the variable. The variable name takes each and every value present in the iterable object and then it executes the block of statements. This is how it executes. Okay. So for how many times it is going to execute? Depending on the number of values that we have in the iterable object. Yes. If I have 5 values, 5 elements, obviously each and every value will be given to the, variable name, and obviously the for loop executes for 5 times. Yes. For all the elements, for all the values, the for loop executes. And why both of these syntaxes are same? Because you can have else block as optional. Okay, not every time you need to specify the else block. It is optional. It is not mandatory. Either if you would like to keep it in your, if you like to include it, yes, you can use else block, then come up with the block of statements under this block. If you don't want to keep else block, ignore it. Not required. So that is the reason you can call it as either for loop or for else loop. Very important, guys. Else block is optional. Okay. Not only here, even in the conditional statements. If you remember, we have discussed the same point yesterday. Okay. Even for while loop, else block is optional. Making sense? So this syntax, if you see, the syntax is very simple. For keyword followed by the variable name in iterable object, then indentation symbol. Once if you give indentation symbol, if you click on enter, it does not start the line from the starting position. By default, it leaves 4 spaces. 4 spaces will be given, and from the next piece, from the 5th position, we can start typing our block of statements. Clear? The same point we have discussed in conditional statements. Okay, it is same, just the syntax is getting changed. We are including for and in. The keywords like for and in are being included. Okay, just memorize the syntax. And if you do hands-on, you can come up with any kind of question can be answered. Right? Now let me go back and work out on a few examples. A few examples, let us discuss. Right. What are we doing in line number 3286? Three two eight six. What are we doing? I want everyone to respond. Respond in the chat. Come on guys, what are we doing? We are storing Nextera Unitech in a variable S. Yes? Yes. We are storing Nextera Unitech in variable S. What type will be used to store Nextera Unitech? Which type will be used to store Nextera Unitech in S? It is str. Why it is str? Because we are trying to store a sequence of values, a sequence of characters in quotation marks. You see, double quotations is what I'm using. Fundamentals are very important. See, str type is used to store Nextera Unitech in S. And what is the size? It is 15. How it is 15? 7 in Nextera and 7 in Unitech. But how it is 15? Even for the space it takes size 1. Clear? Now, what are we doing in the next line? In the next line, what are we doing? I'm using print function. Sorry. I'm using print function to print by using for loop. I want to print a message. I want to print a message. Okay, so this message will be printed as it is. Let me execute. By using for loop gets printed. Yes. Did it print? Yes. Then in the next line, printing hyphens. Again a message. Yes. Printing hyphens. Hyphens got printed. Now we have the for else loop. We have for loop. Did I include else block? Yes, I have included else block. Let us, understand the syntax first of all. Am I using the syntax as is? Yes. For variable name in iterable object. For is a keyword, in is a keyword, x is my variable name. Clear? What about s? S takes a. What is s? S is an iterable object. What value do you have in S? It is str type value, str type data. Okay. Will it execute? Yes. Because an object which contains multiple values. Yes, it has multiple, right? So this is accepted. S is accepted in this position. Followed by indentation symbol. So once if you have indentation symbol, by default, in the next line, the first 4 spaces will be left and you'll have your block of statements. What am I going to do? In the block of statements, I'm using print function. Within the print function, I want to print a message using format function. So that means, let us understand what exactly we do. So for loop, in for loop, we'll initially have a variable. What variable we have here? It is x. This variable x takes the values from the iterable object. So what is our iterable object? This is our iterable object. So x initially takes n. Because what is the first value in next era unit? It is n. So x takes n. Then it goes inside the block of statements. And what it has to perform? It is performing formatting. Okay, the value that we have in x gets formatted, and what does this say? It has to print a tab space, gets printed, \t means tab space, then the value of x has to be printed. So that means, after a tab space, n has to get printed. That is what we are doing. Should I stop? No. What does looping or iterative or repetitive statements, what is the purpose of these statements? They help us to perform a operation. A certain operation can be performed for finite number of times, not for one time, until the condition becomes false. So what happens? Simple. The value of x will be updated. What is the next value in the str object type? It is e. X takes e. Right? So e gets printed. In this way, it takes each and every value from this str type data and it just prints. It just prints. Okay, so we'll have the output as NEXTERA, then space followed by unit. In this fashion, you'll have the output. Okay, then once after completing all the elements, all the values present in the iterable object, then it stops. Then it stops. It comes to the else block, it prints, hyphens, but before hyphen, it will print a. What does \n means? New line character. In the new line, not in the same line, in the new line, it prints all the hyphens. Clear? As this is our first example, let us be slow and steady and understand it. If you want me to repeat it again, yes, I'll do it one more time, guys. X takes each and every value, each and every element from the iterable object. Okay. And for all the values that X get, it has to execute the block of statements. But how many block of statements we have? We have only one. Is else also part of the block of statement? No. Why it is no? Because is it following the indentation? I mean, do it have 4 spaces? No. Right? So only line number 3290 is having the 4 spaces. So only this will be the part of the indentation. Clear? Indentation block. So let me execute all the lines together. Just have a look, friends. I'm executing the for loop, for else loop together. Focus on the console. See. Did it print each and every character present in Nextera Unitech? Yes. Why it is printing with some space? Because of \t. \t represents tab space. So it prints tab space, then it prints the value that x has. Whatever the value that x contains will be printed. At the last, the else block, within the else block, it has to print a new line character. In the new line, it has to print hyphens. Done. Is it clear? Right. Now let us go to the next example. What are we doing in line number 3294? Three two nine four. What kind of object it is? I have the elements enclosed in square braces, and all these elements values are comma separated. So what do you see? What kind of object it is? We are creating a list object. Perfect. Creating a list object. Okay. Then where are we storing this list object? First of all, how did you identify it is a list object? We have the values, we have the elements enclosed in square braces. Just go back to the data types topic. Under list category data types, we have discussed list type and tuple. So the elements or the values of list data type has to be enclosed in square braces. The elements will be organized in the square braces, and each and every element will be comma separated. Yes. So I'm storing this list object in LST. A variable LST is being used and I'm storing this object. What will be the size of LST? Length of LST. Answer? What is the size, my friends? How many elements we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So the output is 6. Clear? Then in the next line, we are printing by using for loop. We are going to use print function to print a message. Okay, and the message is by using for loop. This gets printed to the console. Then in the next line, we are printing hyphens to the console using print function. Yes. So let me execute all these three statements together. Done. Yes. So wherever you are using print function, the messages got printed and it created a list object of size 6, and here we have the list object. Simple. Now, let me start our for loop. Let me start the for loop. What is the syntax? See? What is the syntax of for loop? For keyword followed by variable, then followed by in keyword, then iterable object. For variable in iterable object, is LST an iterable object? Yes or no? Guys, is LST an iterable object or not? LST is a list object. Is this list object an iterable object or not? Yes or no? What do you say? Is it not a list? Is it not a iterable object? It is an iterable object. Why? Iterable object is an object which contains multiple values. I have multiple values, multiple elements. It is an iterable object. Yes, so that means it is accepted at this position. Then next to iterable object, we'll have indentation symbol. Okay. So then in the next line, obviously you'll keep your block of statements to be executed. Again, what are we trying to do? Whatever the value, whatever the element that NEUT takes, the variable NEUT takes from this iterable object LST, it has to get printed along with a tab space. A tab space has to be printed followed by the value. So for the first iteration, what happens? NEUT takes which value from LST? The first element. What is the first element? It is 10. So NEUT takes the value 10. Then it prints tab space. Okay. Then followed by the element 10. Are we done? No. This process will be repeated for finite number of times till all the elements present in the iterable object get completed. Okay. So NEUT in the second iteration, it takes 20, where it prints tab space followed by 20. Then in the third iteration, NEUT takes Python. So it prints a tab space and the value Python. In this way, it is going to print each and every element, each and every value present in this iterable object LST. Once after printing all the values, 34.56, it stops. The loop stops and it enters else block. It prints a new line. In a new line, it is going to print hyphens. Is it clear? Yes. So very simple examples. Just to understand for loop, we are using very simple examples, friends. Okay. Let me execute. Done. Done. So all elements got printed. Are they got printed as it is? No. A tab space. See, you observe here. A tab space was being added. It got printed, then the element. Done. Any questions in this particular, example? Do you have any questions? Very simple. Right. If no questions, from here onwards, we'll have interesting use cases. Okay. We'll be using for loop, and along with the for loop, we are also combining looping as well as conditional statements. Okay. So both of these statements gets combined. Right. So I'm coming up with a Python program for generating a multiplication table for any given number by the end user. Okay. So whatever might be the number, we are coming up with a Python program which helps us to generate a multiplication table. Isn't it? Yes. You take any of the table, 10 table, 100 table, 1000 table, whatever might be the table, you can get the multiples. You can get the multiplication table. Okay. So let us understand how we are able to achieve it. For this particular program, we are using the combination of both conditional as well as looping statements. Clear? Yes. Now, let us get started. So, in line number 3303, we are going to get the data from the keyboard. I'm using input function. which helps us to get the data, get the value from the keyboard, which helps us to display, enter a number. When I execute line number 3303, it displays enter a number, and whatever the number that we pass will by default be stored in str type. Why? It is input function. Input function. Right? Then what are we doing on the output of input? Input function. Whatever the value that you pass, as it gets stored in str type object, that particular value, that particular object is getting converted to int type data. So that means str gets converted to int. Type conversion is being done. Okay, and this int type value gets stored in n. It gets stored in n. Now I'll build my logic. I'm using if else conditional statements and also looping statements, that is for loop. Okay, let us understand how, which logic did we use? How did we drive the program? So initially in the if statement, my condition is n less than or equals to 0. If n less than or equals to 0, that means if the end user passes a number which is less than 0 or if it is equals to 0, assume that if I pass a number like -5, okay, so anyhow we can get the output, we can get the multiples of -5, but still, it is going to print as -5 is invalid input. Okay, if the condition holds true, if the value of n, if it is less than or equals to 0, it enters, it executes the statements that we have in the indentation block. Under the if block, the statements gets executed. So -5 is invalid input will be your output. But what if I pass a value for n greater than 0? Assume that I have passed 10. Will the condition hold true? It will be false. The condition will not hold true. Right? So in that case, what happens is it does not execute the statements. First of all, as the condition is holding false, it skips the if block and comes to the else block. It comes to the else block and it prints hyphens. A message is getting printed using print function followed by again a print function where it is going to print a message using format function, multiplication table for whatever the value that you pass for n, that gets formatted at this position and it gets printed to the console. So that means multiplication for 10 will be our output for line number 3308. And what are we doing in the next line? Again, it will print all hyphens. It will print all the hyphens. Anyhow, these are not mandatory, my friends. But for understanding well, to have a clear picture on the output, in order to make my output very clear, I have used all these statements. Okay, I have used multiple times print function. Yes. Now I'm using for loop. I'm using for loop. Yes, the syntax is for variable name in iterable object. Which iterable object are we using? We are using range 1, 11. Range is an iterable object or not? Is range an iterable object? Yes. How come? Because it is part of sequence category data types. And what is the purpose of range? Range data type helps us to store multiple positive integers, maintaining the step size, right? So this allows me to have multiple elements, multiple values can be stored. So what will be the output of range of 1 comma 11? It will be 1, 2, 3, so on, 10. I hope all of you remember, because if you are good at fundamentals, you can come up with your own logic. By doing hands-on, by doing multiple times practice, at some point of time, you'll come up with building your logic for the code. Whatever might be the question, you'll build the logic. But your fundamentals, if they are not good enough, you have to suffer. So friends, if you're joining for the first time, just consider subscribing our channel. Okay, so all the fundamental sessions were already covered in the previous days. Okay, just have a look. Right, let us come back. So range is an iterable object, and we have our block of code saying a print function to print a message using format function. So what it is going to format? First of all, it prints a tab space, then it formats the value of n. Whatever the value that n has, the end user passes the value for n, so that gets formatted. Then the value of I in the next place. But in the third place, what is this? What kind of operator are we using here? Is it arithmetic operator? Is it arithmetic operator or not? Yes, it is arithmetic operator. Right? So where it returns the product. Multiplication. So the value of n multiplied by I will be returned. It gets formatted at this position. Okay. But how many times this has to execute? Initially, I takes the value of 1, because what value do we have in the iterable object? Starting value 1. So I takes 1. Once after executing the block of statement for I is equals to 1, I takes 2. Updation. The second element, the second value will be assigned for I. Again, the same line get executed. I takes 3. In this way, till I value is 10. Okay, till it executes till I is equals to 10. So that means we are going to get 5 into 1 is equals to 5. This is what gets printed. Okay, for into we used capital X. Okay, for each and every line, a tab space will be printed first, then followed by your n value, whatever the n value that passed, that will be printed. Next to n, we have x. Next to it, I value gets printed. Initial iteration, I takes 1. Then next to it, we have is equals to. And finally, in the third place, n into I. The value of multiplication, the value of the product gets, formatted. So I'll get till 5 into 10, that is equals to 50. So in this way, for all the values 1 till 10, whatever might be the number, we will get the multiples. So did we generate a multiplication table for 5? Yes. Is it clear? Now let me execute and show you the output, my friends. I'm executing all the lines of code in a single go, and just focus on the console. So it is asking me to enter a number. Okay. So what number shall I give? I'm just passing 5 for easy understanding, because even though if I take a big number, probably we are not good at multiplications, right? Yes. So let me go with a small number and a easy table. It is 5, and I'll click on enter. The moment you click on enter, is it displaying the output in the console? Yes. See, for this line, I got the out. It has printed enter a number and I have given 5. Next to it, it checks the condition. The condition is not met. So it does not enter the if block. It skips the if block and comes to the else statement. Else block, and it prints hyphens. Done. It prints multiple for 5. Okay. And next to it, it is going to print hyphens again, followed by, our 5 table. 5 table from 1 till 10, all the multiples of 5 we see in the output, and at the last it also executes the block of statements that we have in else block, where we just print hyphens. Is it clear? Right. Let me execute one more time. This time probably I'll do it on a big number. Let me not do it on a small number. Let me try it on a big number, 489. Some 4-digit number, 5489. Is Will it generate the multiplication table for this number? Yes, it will. Within fraction of seconds. See, the moment you click on enter, you'll see the output. Okay. What if I pass the number as, 0? What if I pass 0? Will I get 0th table? 0 ones are 0, 0 twos are 0. So on. What will be the output, my friends? It prints 0 is invalid input. Why? The condition is holding true. In the if statement, whatever the test condition that we have, it holds true. So it enters the if block and it just executes the block of statements where 0 is invalid input gets returned. Clear? And before I go to the next question, here, when I'm just passing the number, whatever might be the number, I'm able to get the multiples of the number from 1 till 10. Okay. So what if I want to get the multiples till 20? If I want to get the multiples of a given number, not till 10, if I want to get till 20, what am I supposed to do? What changes should I make in the code? Think and let me know in the chat. Perfect, perfect. Simple. Instead of 11, I'll just keep it as 21. Just change your values that are present in range. Okay. Now you executed. So let me go with the same number 5 and I'll click on enter. This time, do you see only the output, the multiples of 5 only till 10? No. I see the multiples of 5 till 20. Why? Because of, you know, the values that you have inside the range function. Clear? Good. Now let us go to the next function. Okay. I mean to the next program. And this particular program is for extracting vowels from a given line of text. Okay. Whenever there is a line of text that was given from the end user, from that particular line, this particular program is going to extract only the vowels. And it is also going to return the number of vowels present in the line, given line. Right? Let us understand, my friends. So what are we doing? Input function, where it displays the message, enter a line of text, and it stores the data from the keyboard in the format of str. See, it is asking me. Enter a line of text is what it is asking me. So let me give it as next era Unitech. Next era Unitech. Okay, so this is the line of text I'm passing. I'll click on enter. Did it store in line? Yes, it has stored. And the size is 15. Done. Then next to it, I'm going to print hyphens. Then I'm also going to print a message using format function. So it prints given line is equals to next era Unitech. Simple. And next to it, I'm again going to print the hyphens. Now, the actual code starts. For the program, I'm coming up with logic where I'm using a for loop in which we have a conditional statement, that is if else. If else. So try to understand what exactly are we doing in this lines. From line number 3320 till 3328. In all these lines, spend good amount of time and try to understand what are we doing. What exactly are we doing, my friends? So initially, I'm going to store a value 0 in a variable NOV. So why did we store 0 in NOV is you'll understand later. Okay, but let us start. I'm storing 0 in NOV, then I'm going to start my for loop. For variable in iterable object, is line accepted? Yes, it is an iterable object because it stores str type. str type. So str type data, it is accepted. Then indentation symbol followed by I have if else statement. So in the if block, I have the test condition as whatever the value that ch takes, if it is not in a list of elements. What do you have in this list of elements? I have all vowels. I have vowels both in lowercase and uppercase. So in general, what are the vowels that we have in English? A, E, I, O, U. Okay, so all of these are the vowels. In total, there are 5 vowels in English language. So when we are keeping the vowels in both the cases, you'll have 10. So size of this list is 10. The condition says the value that CH takes, if it is not in this particular element, it has to continue. Okay, if this condition holds true, only then it has to continue. What is this continue? Continue is a flow control statement. Okay, next to loops, we have flow control statements where we will be discussing break, continue, and pass. Okay, so anyhow, as we are using continue, we'll just quickly understand what exactly this continue does. This continue will just skip the current iteration. Okay, whatever the current iteration that is happening, it is going to skip and it goes to the next iteration. For example, CH in the first iteration, it takes N, yes. N not in, this list. Do we have, what will be the output? What kind of operator it is? Membership operator? Yes. When does a not in operator return true? In operator returns true if the value is present inside iterable object. Value in iterable object. If it is present, then it returns true. Okay, but not in returns true when the value is not in the object, the iterable object. Right? So that is the understanding. So in this case, CH takes each and every value present in the line. Next there Unitech, each and every value gets assigned to CH and it checks whether the values are present in the list or not. If it is present, it continues. If not, it goes to the else block and prints the value that we have in the CH gets printed along with the tab space. A tab space will be printed along with our character, the element that is part of CH. Whatever is being assigned to CH, that gets printed. Then, what are we doing? We are going to update the value of NOV only if it is executing else block. So this is actually calculating the number of vowels. The number of vowels. Okay, if this executes, else block executes, initially it prints the vowel. Yes. Then the value of NOV gets updated by 1. So 0 plus 1 will be 1 and 1 gets stored in NOV. And finally, in the else block, it will print the number of vowels as the value that we have in the final NOV. In this object NOV, that gets printed as it is. So, what will be the output for this particular line? Next era Unitech. What will be the output? What will be the output? First, it takes N. Will this execute? Yes, this gets executed. Because I don't have N. Right? So this gets executed. Then CH takes E. E not in E. No, I have E inside the list. So the condition is false. It goes to the else block and prints the it executes the block of statements where it prints E tab space E. Then the value of NOV gets updated to 1. In this way, it tries for each and every character, each and every value present in Nextera Unitech. So what will be the output, my friends? E, E, A, U, I, E will be the output. Am I right? How many vowels? In total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the final value in NOV will be 6. Okay, now I'm going to execute. I'm going to execute. Just have a look. See. Clear? So a program for extracting vowels and also returning the number of vowels in the given line of text. Whatever might be the text, let me execute one more time. Okay, this time let me take a big text. A big line. So it is asking me to enter a line of text. I'll take the same line as is. And I'm giving the same line of text as an input. Done. How many vowels? It says 7. What are they? E in uppercase followed by E in lowercase, A, I, E, O, E. Clear? Is it clear or not? Yes. Any questions, my friends? So that's what, if you are listening for the first time, if you're learning Python for the first time, your practice from here onwards, you should practice on daily basis. If not, it doesn't work. Okay, not just listening to the sessions, you have to type the code on daily basis. Only then, you'll memorize the topics and moreover, you'll learn Python. Right? Yes. Now, I'll come to the point. Say, excuse me. So this particular series of Python for AI, Python for AI sessions, part 1. Right. So Python for AI part 1 sessions, we are going to conclude by 22nd of this month. Okay. So 22nd of this month, we are going to complete all the core concepts of Python, and from 26th May, we are going to start part 2. It will be part 2 for Python for AI sessions. Okay. Again, it will be a 30 days program where you will be learning the advanced topics like oops, then followed by you'll have numpy, pandas, no, regex, file and exceptional handling. All these topics will be covered as part of part 2. And the most important thing that I would like to communicate is, at the end of this part 2, in the last 5 days, we are going to work on 5 projects related to Python. Every day, the last 5 days, we will be taking up a project and working on it. Okay, so this will be the flow. So friends, whoever have registered for part 1, in the same way, you are also supposed to register for part 2. Okay, and you'll get the certificates individually. But whatever, the guidelines, there are some few guidelines how you are able to get the certificate. So ensure that you are also following them. Okay, so we are going to share the registration link in the chat box for the part 2 program of Python for AI. My humble request is be part of Python for AI part 2 as well, because all the advanced topics will be covered as part of part 2 only. Okay. Whatever you are learning in part 1 are only core concepts, the fundamentals. But here we have the advanced topics. Moreover, NumPy, Pandas, important modules are going to get discussed. Right? So be part of part 2 by completing your registrations. Yes, you'll get separate certifications for the both. Okay, and for both these cases, you'll have certifications for 30 days. Clear? Any questions related to part 1 and part 2 series of Python for AI? And moreover, friends, share these particular information, important information across your connections. Let us make it up, because, this is a good opportunity, a best opportunity where you are going to learn Python, right? Not even paying a single rupee, we are going to learn Python. So do share across your connections. Ask them to join the sessions. Ask them to learn Python. Right. So I assume no questions related to the Python series, part 1 and part 2. Now let us start understanding about, we'll understand, the orientation. Yesterday, we have discussed, yes. So we have understood how internship program, that next era Unitech is going to provide. We have understood the streamlining, the overview, and all, right? So in today's orientation session, you'll be understanding the phases especially, right? Yes. I'll quickly recap whatever we have discussed yesterday, then probably I'll take your doubts at the last, right? So as part of this internship, you will have two main phases. There are two phases. One is learning phase and the other one is hands-on project phase. Nothing but project phase. This learning phase will be for 30 days, my friends. For 30 days, you will be continuously learning. Okay, the new topics like Python, If you are already aware of Python topics, it will be a revision session for you. Then followed by EDA, exploratory data analysis. Then followed by data cleansing. Then SQL, and finally Power BI. Finally, Power BI. So all these topics you'll be just learning in 30 days. Then followed by, in this especially learning phase, we'll provide the mentorship. Okay, we'll provide the guidance from our side. And on every week, we'll be having an interaction sessions. Okay, so that will be communicated and we'll be interacting with each other. Especially your queries, your doubts gets resolved. You can address, we are going to address all your questions, your doubts as part of these interactive sessions. Coming to the project fees, we will have it for 15 days. We will have it for 15 days. Whatever you are learning as part of the 30 days, you will be working on the same on a project. So that means whatever you learn, implement them on a project. Right? So whoever is going to be part of both the phases, okay, so that means in learning phase, we have assignments given on daily basis. Each and every assignment has to be submitted from your side. Only if you are following the rules and the regulations, submitting the assignments on time, watching the sessions, only then you'll be moved to the project phase. And within 15 days after completing your project, we'll be verifying your artifacts, your docs, documents that were submitted by you, and we'll be providing a certificate. A certificate will be provided. Right? So this is the journey. Now, coming to the learning phase. What exactly happens in learning phase? So from tomorrow, the learning phase starts for this batch 3 internship. Okay, so I'll show what exactly happens in learning phase. Right. Able to see my screen? Yep. So here, for this particular batch, a Google Classroom will be shared. You should be part of this Google Classroom. All the announcements will be happening over here. Okay, so you'll get the announcements on daily basis. You have to be going through the announcements and start working on daily basis. So just as to demonstrate, we have already uploaded the docs for day 1. You see here. So from tomorrow, whoever will be part of this batch 3 free internship program, you guys have to work on, you'll be learning Python and SQL initially. Okay, initially you'll be learning Python and SQL. Then followed by Python will be for entire 30 days. Once after completing SQL, you will be learning Power BI. So let me keep it over here. 1 to 30 days. From day 1 to day 30, you will have learning phase, right? So on daily basis, you have to, go through 2 topics at least. One topic will be on Python and the other one will be either SQL or Power BI or Power BI. Okay. Then each and every day you'll get the updates, you'll get the announcements in this fashion. Okay. All these are Word files where you can download them, and this is the link. It's a Google form where you have to submit these docs. These are your assignments, Python assignment and SQL assignment. I'll be opening this. Just hold on. You know, it's a doc file where you have to download and give your answers and submit these docs by end of the day. Once after giving the answers, if you are ready for submitting, open this Google form, fill the details and submit the docs. Your submissions has to be done. Clear? Then what are we going to have here? Let me start opening the files. The first one, Python. So this particular assignment is for day 1 of Python, where you will have only MCQs. Hardly it takes 15 minutes to complete both the assignments. 15-20 minutes, not more than that. All of these will be easy and moderate questions, MCQ questions. Let me also open SQL. So for the first topic, you have questions. That's it. So down to the question, you can give your answer, save it, and submit both of these files, in this Google form. You are supposed to attach the upload the files. Both the files has to be uploaded. Then go back. What about this sessions day 1? This sessions day 1 is again a docs file which contains the resources. What you have to watch. You have the resources over here. So just click on this resource. The link, it will redirect you to the page and you can go through the session. By just watching the session, you can come back and give the assignment. Okay, so this is what you have to do on daily basis. Then you go back and watch the SQL day 1 session. Come back and give your assignment. Once after completing both the assignments, upload them in the Google form. So we will be tracking your performance. We'll be monitoring your performance. Okay. Whoever is submitting the files, the documents on daily basis, you'll be moved to the project phase. If not, you'll be terminated from the internship. That is what we are going to do, friends. Because we are offering this particular internship for free, right? So we are little serious about it. You guys don't take it for granted and be serious and submit the assignments on daily basis. Hardly it will take 15 to 20 minutes to complete of all the assignments. Both assignments. Clear? Yes, the question starts. How should I be part of this internship? How should I be part of this classroom? The invite link will be shared in the groups. Okay. So just click on the invite link and be part of this classroom. Yes, the invite link has been provided in the chat box as well. In the live chat, the invite link has been posted. Yes. Just click on it. You can be part of this classroom. Batch 3 DA DSAI free internship classroom. Right? So from tomorrow, you are supposed to start your journey, learning phase, where you will be learning Python, SQL, EDA, data pre-processing, and Power BI. Only if you learn, you will work on a project. If you don't learn, you will not work on a project, because the project is not a group project. Guys, this is very important. Again, you may have a kind of mindset like, I'll just complete the assignments without watching the sessions, is what you might have, right? But it will not work. Probably you will be, yes, completing your learning phase because you are submitting the assignments, right? Yes, you will be not getting identified, you will be completing your learning phase. But we will catch hold of you in project phase. How come? If you don't learn, how are you going to work on a project? How are you going to complete your project, first of all? Right? So, in order to complete the project, you should learn. If you learn, yes, these skills you will implement on the project, and finally you can submit the documents of the project. We'll evaluate these docs, the documents that you will share with us, and we'll provide a certificate. Is it clear? Just click on the classroom link. Okay, if it is asking any kind of, code, you see here. So this is the code. Yep. Right. So any questions with respect to learning phase? It's very clear, right? Then let us discuss about our project phase. Whatever we have discussed regarding the project phase, yes, it is well and good enough. But additionally, one more point that has to be discussed is during project phase, on daily basis, we have to connect. Okay, we will be connecting on daily basis, and whatever the task, whatever the work that you will be working on, that has to be updated to the mentor. Whoever is going to guide you in the project, the work has to be updated. If there is no kind of progress in your work, even in the project phase, you'll be terminated again. Clear? Assignments has to be submitted on daily basis. I'm talking about, project. Learning phase doesn't have any kind of timings. It is the 24 hours timing that you have. Either you sit at night 12, or you sit at whatever the time at which you are free and submit these assignments. Go through the sessions, then submit the assignments. But ensure that you are submitting the assignments on daily basis. If you are not doing so, you will be removed from the internship. Don't misuse this opportunity, my friends. Okay. So this is going to add more weightage to your resume. Why? This in this particular internship, you are implementing, you are also working on a project where you are implementing the methodologies that were being used in real time. Right? So be part of it. And moreover, you have to be serious. When you are part of this internship for this entire 45 days, get some seriousness and complete this internship on time. No extension, right? Don't come up with any kind of stories. No stories are accepted. Yeah, whoever it might be. Even for faculty, it is, it is useful. You are going to learn new skills, right? So already the link has been posted. Even in all the groups, okay, in especially if you are part of Next Era Unitech channel, in a couple of minutes, we'll be sharing the Google Classroom link. Just click on the Classroom link. You'll be part of this batch. Batch 3 DADS AI free internship. Clear? So when it comes to the project phase timings, probably you'll have it around, 6 or after 6. This just takes only 20 minutes to complete your assignments. That's fine. Even though if you have any other works, if you are occupied with other works, every month we'll be starting one batch. Okay. You can be part of the next batch, my friends. That's what, if you have any exams, just go and give your exams now. Next month, you can be part of this internship. Because in next month, we'll be starting one more batch and you can be part of it. Yes, both the files can be added at a single time. From tomorrow, the learning phase for batch 3 is started. It is going to start from tomorrow only. Okay, no more excuses. If you are not able to submit the assignments on time, we'll be tracking your performance and you'll be terminated. No excuses. Any other questions? No, today is just an orientation session. That's it. But from tomorrow, the learning journey starts. Okay. So we are glad to have all of you here to be part of the internship. Utilize this opportunity in a right way. Best of luck, my friends. Yes, from tomorrow, the learning phase for batch 3 is going to start. Whoever will be part of batch 3, you guys have to start giving your assignments from tomorrow only. No. That's one of the questions. So, friends, do you have any other questions? Yes, in the same word file, give your answers down to the question. Next to the question, give your answer, save them, upload them in the Google form. So, friends, the WhatsApp channel link has been posted in the chat. If you are part of multiple groups, you know, you can avoid them, but be part of this WhatsApp channel. Nextera Unitech WhatsApp channel where you'll get all the updates. Okay. So be part of this WhatsApp channel. Even though if you are in other groups, you can ignore them, but be part of this channel. Clear? Yes, every month we'll have a new batch for internship. Okay. And that will be updated in the WhatsApp channel. So be part of WhatsApp channel, my friends. Any other questions related to internship? No, I just kept quiet because I was waiting for the questions related to internship. Yes, you have to listen to the sessions followed by, you are supposed to give your assignments and then submit them. Good question. Friend, in each and every month, a new batch will start. Okay. Date, the timings, everything will be posted if you are part of the channel only. You'll get the update. That's what I'm repeating time again. Be part of WhatsApp channel. All the updates related to internships or the programs that we do will be shared in the channel. Be part of it. The feedback link has been posted. Give your valuable feedback before you leave for the session. As well as if you feel that the session went well, hit on the like button and do share across these sessions among your connections. Right. That's all for the day. Give your valuable feedback, my friends.